Today I'm going to show you how to make this super easy, amazingly delicious peach crumb cake using fresh peaches. This late summer dessert is so simple to whip up and it only uses a handful of really common ingredients. You don't need any special skills or equipment to make it, so it's perfect if you think you're not a good baker. I'm going to start with 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You'll want to use a nice large bowl for this because we're going to be doing some crumbling. Here I have 1/2 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. We do want a little bit of leavening here. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. That was a very eyeballed teaspoon. And a very optional ingredient, a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to add it today. Sometimes I don't. I'm going to mix this together really well with this pastry blender because we're going to be using it anyway. Just mix it until everything's thoroughly combined. All right, now here I have 1/2 cup of butter that I've cut into pieces and kind of chilled. Actually, I chilled it first and then cut it up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start adding all of this in. There we go. And now I'm gonna use the pastry blender to sort of cut this butter in until the mixture kind of resembles coarse oats. It's important that the butter is a little bit chilled. This isn't a recipe where you want your butter soft and creamy texture. If you don't have a pastry blender, you can also use 2 knives to do this. And you can even get in there with your hands. That's probably the easiest way to do this. So you don't want this mixture to be too crumbly. Leave some pieces of butter still showing here and there. Now I'm going to make a well in the center. And in that well, I'm going to crack 1 egg. So just let it fall in there. And to that, I'm going to add about 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm just going to kind of scramble that egg now right inside the well, and then gradually bring the rest of the mixture together. So you're going to notice that the dry mixture will just completely absorb that egg. But it's important because the egg is what's going to hold this together and keep it from falling apart. So once that egg is fully incorporated, now I'm going to take my prepared pan. All I did was take a regular 8-inch cake pan and buttered the bottom and the sides. And I added a little piece of parchment paper too, which is optional, but it really does make taking the cake out easier. You can also just butter and flour the pan, and that works great also. Now I'm going to add a little more than half, maybe 2/3 of this crumb mixture. You definitely want more on the bottom. So right here in the bowl, I have about 1.5 cups left. I'm going to start pressing this down as evenly as possible and building up the sides a little bit. You want to create a little bit of a wall just to keep the sides in. This doesn't need to be perfect at all. Now right here, I have 4 cups of fresh sliced peaches. And the way I prepped these was I took each one and scored an X on the bottom. And then I poured boiling water all over them to completely cover. Let them sit like that for 45 seconds to a minute. Then you take them out. Oops, some of them are actually already peeling. And just like that, they peel so easily. The peaches really do have to be at a perfect ripeness for this to work well. It doesn't work great with peaches that are still kind of hard. Then I took each one and cut it down the middle and try and split it in half. Now, if they don't split in half so easily, you can also cut it a second time in quarters. And that way they come out a little easier. Then you just cut these up. So I'm going to add these right into the bottom crust. This is a really generous cake that you could probably do with any fruit. Now I'm going to sprinkle on 2 tablespoons of sugar because sometimes peaches can be a little tart, so this will offset that. Whoops. Now we're going to take that reserved crumb mixture and put the rest on top. So there will be plenty here. Just put the rest on there however much you have. You can even press it down slightly, but not too much. You want some areas to still be a little loose and crummy. You just want a nice little balance. So now I'm going to bake this in a preheated 350 Fahrenheit oven for 30 to 45 minutes. And here's how it looks when it's ready. So this was in the oven for exactly 40 minutes. You can see that the crust is a little bit golden on the top and on the edges. And you should also be able to see the peaches bubbling on the sides. This is really beautiful. So
You can serve this warm, but I would let it cool for at least 10 to 20 minutes. I'm going to let this cool completely because it slices a lot better that way. So we're just going to dig out the nice first piece. You can see the nice layers of peaches. There we go, that's beautiful. And now it's time to enjoy the fruits of our efforts. Wow, look at how delicious that looks. This was so easy to make.
I really hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something new. If you have a lot of peaches on hand right now, well, this is a perfect way to use them up.